Hi, how are you? What are you up to? What? You're woobling? Me too. Crochet Kit Wednesday, woobling Wednesday. I got a little drink. I got a little time. Sit with me. Let's wooble. Let's holiday wooble. I found this Loops and Threads kit at Michael's. It has 3 holiday ornaments. Perfect for December, right? I have just enough kits to get us through the holiday season. And then all the other kits are just gonna be random pull, okay? So the kit is supposed to be all inclusive. Let's find out. I've taken everything out of the box. At first, I took these instructions out of the box and I thought something was wrong with me because I couldn't read them. I can't read them. What is that? I guess you can find those kits internationally. But then I found another set of instructions and they are 2 sides, how to crochet, and this is the instructions to make 3 ornaments. Oh, we'll see. There's a couple things I'd like to point out. Again, it says a crochet hook is furnished in this kit. If you choose to use an alternative hook, which we do not recommend, please note that using a larger hook will result in errors in tension and yarn quantities required to complete the project. Do not crochet tightly. Your fabric should be firm, not stiff. Okay. Man, a firm fabric will hold its shape better. Keep the tension on the yarn and maintain even and compact stitches. Let the yarn flow freely through your fingers while stitching. One of those wonderful things about crochet, right? Practice stitching in single crochet before beginning the project to get a feel for the yarn and the required hook size. They gave a gauge. Okay, we're making a candy cane, a gingerbread boy, and a gingerbread girl. On the front of the box, it says our names are Glory, Claus, and Gabe. I guess I didn't actually see which one was named which. The candy cane is made in 2 steps. The first step is the candy cane. The second step is the candy cane stripes. In the instructions, which I did glance through, very, very basic, and it requires a wire, which piqued my interest. So coming over here to the kit, we had Fluff and Stuff, which bursted its end at some point in shipping and packaging and purchasing. We have some very nice yarn. This yarn is really nice. This is definitely not it still looks a little splitty, but it's not the extremely splitty yarn that comes in the Dollar Tree kits. And then there's some white, red, and brown. And then jammed inside the brown, I found a piece of wire, which I initially thought was maybe like one of those Christmas tree hangers. It's not. It's just a wire. So that is for the inside of the candy cane, and a neon needle. So now we'll be using the red and white. Gingerbread will be going back into the very crinkly bag. Let's see, how do I not lose this in the car? I'm gonna put that back down inside my basket. I got a basket over here. Crochet hook. At first glance, it looked to me like the Dollar Tree has those crochet hook packs with all the sizes. That closely resembles what I've seen. Honestly, haven't bought one. Not really interested in buying one. Don't need it. I wasn't planning on buying them, but I've glanced at them, and all those hooks are different colors, pastel-y like this, and they do have a back end like that. The hook end, it doesn't have a very deep throat on it, so we'll see. We'll see how it works. There was something that I noticed interesting, and it was talking about, oh, there was a little note or a tip, optional. Oh, tip. When stuffing legs, arms, and small pieces, use the rounded end of the plastic crochet hook to assist in pushing the fiber fill into small areas. Yeah, I do that. I also have on my whip cart at home, I have a couple of chopsticks that I use. Not the ones from the polyfill, but actually some nice lacquered finished chopsticks that I use, because when I use the chopsticks, the disposable chopsticks that come in the polyfill bag, they're kind of splitty, and sometimes the hairs from the polyfill get stuck on that wood, and it makes my arm hairs stand up. So I have lacquered chopsticks that I use when I do the fiber fill. But yes, marvelous idea. Thank you, Loops and Threads, for adding just a little bit of tip and trick to make this a little easier going, right? Because technically beginners should be able to handle this. So it tells you when working in the rounds, you're crocheting up, you're slip stitching, and then you're chaining one on the next. If you decide to work in the rounds, it also gives you instructions for the rounds. It just says do not join at the end of each round or the crochet one. And then it tells you to use a stitch marker, which in a previous kit, I noticed there were no stitch markers. But then after reading that, I realized, oh, it's because you weren't working in the rounds. They had suggested to slip stitch to join and chain one. And Amy over here just decided to just work in the rounds. So if you don't follow the directions, not everything's included. So there's no stitch markers in this kit, which is fine. It'll be fine. We'll be okay. So the candy cane is row 1 and 2 with some details. 3 through 38 are just continuing what you were doing. And then there's some instructions between 3 and 38. At round 10, you should begin stuffing with a fiber fill so that you can get it evenly all the way to the body. And then every 6 to 8 rounds, you should pop a little fill in there. Insert the wire. Round 39 is the end. So really very basic. I'm just working with the white at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and work that up. There are stitch counts at the end of each row, which is deeply appreciated by me. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and work that up. It sounds like I'm making a tube. I'm gonna make a tube. I'll be right back. Oh, I did notice, so there's only 3 colors in this kit. Brown, white, and red, but yet they assign them codes. C1 for brown, C2 for white, C3 for red. Why didn't they just type out brown, white, and red? Okay. Oh, something else that I noticed. Let me just work that. I'll be back. It looks like legitimate instructions. It has not been AI-ified. Be right back. Okay, so I worked up the 38 rows, stuffing as I go. I did not, oh no, dang it, I lost a little wire. Okay, well, stuffing as I go, up to 39 rows. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I know I said I was going to put that little wire inside the basket so I wouldn't lose it, but I pulled it out, set it on the instructions, pressed record, and immediately lost it. Okay, so I worked the 38 rows as instructed. It is very loosely fluffed, nice and candy caneable, which as I was working, I was thinking, man, that's like 38 rounds is pretty long. And I am using the hook that they said to use because this is the wire that they gave me. So it's probably doesn't need to go all the way to the end, and it doesn't need to go all the way to either end because it's going to be in the bendy part of the hook of the candy cane. The end of those wires are really sharp. My instinct tells me that I want to have a wire from tip to tip and that I want to fold these ends of these wires over so that there's no sharp point to ever poke out of the crochet. It's not a toy. It's an ornament that you hang, so probably overthinking that. But I do have a fingernail utensil over here in the car. And I think just because I'm me, and I will forever be thinking about that, let's give that a little bend. And let's give this end just a tiny little bend. I mean, it hangs on a tree. But you never know. You know, some little toddler comes over and they're like, oh, candy cane, I love it. And it becomes their BFF for life. So probably not. Okay, so this piece will only be part of the bend. So it doesn't even need to go that far down into it. And because this is the very, very end part, the next row is decreasing and finishing off. So I'm just going to leave it right there. Okay. Chain 1. Didn't do that. I worked in the round. So I actually figured I was, see? I was working the round, so I didn't do like the whole chain 1 thing. Could have stabbed myself. Okay, it's in there now. Decreasing, so decreasing a few times. If I don't say how many times, that'll be cool. So on the other side, as far as copyright rules, on the other side of these instructions, it gives a little bit of pictures and wordage on how to do these beginner stitches. Tells you how to chain, how to single crochet, you know, all that good stuff. It also tells you how to decrease. And I noticed as part of the little advanced tips, it says there is a optional invisible decrease where you just grab the front loops of both stitches to decrease. And I thought that was pretty cool too. Just give that nice little finishing touch that gourmet items have. All right, we did it. That is the end of the candy cane. Everything that we need is included in this kit. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off and cut this because my dentist would be upset with me for using my teeth. I'm gonna use my teeth. It says bend in shape as desired. The next step, step 2, the final step in the candy cane, is making the candy cane stripe. So the end of step 1 says bend in shape as desired. Step 2 tells you how to make the stripe, and then very detailed instructions on how to apply the stripe. I'm not gonna bend my candy cane yet. I'm gonna sew the stripe on before I start bending this, because those candy cane sticks, yum, those candy cane sticks are probably easier to wrap than sewing on the bend. So I'm going to I'm going to finish this off. I'm going to make my candy cane stripe, so I'm not giving away any proprietorship information. And let's sew it on together. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have chained how many they told me to chain, which is quite a bit, but I guess it'll work. I'm gonna start with the first chain that I made way up here at the top. And the reason why I'm gonna do that is so that if the chain ends up being too much, too long, I can always snip it off. So I am going to, it doesn't say to do this, I'm going to make a tiny little knot and attach my yarn on there. And then that will help me hold it as I now go down, twist as I'm stitching. I need to twist this candy cane stripe all the way around. It said to leave 3 to 4 inch tail on each end. I should have left the longer tail on the top. That way, if I have to undo some of this chaining, which now that I'm kind of just loosely wrapping it around, I think we're pretty good. I think it'll be fine. I'm going to start with this one and just kind of loosely stitch those stripes on there as evenly as I can eyeball it. And wherever that ends, I'm going to stop and then start from the other end. Yeah, the instructions really don't say. Thread the needle with the yarn tail secure on one end and begin wrapping the chain around the candy cane to create the stripe. Thread the needle with the other yarn tail and secure, weave in all the ends. Oh, it's not telling me I need to tie that on at all. I'm not sewing that whole thing. Really? Chain around the candy cane to create the stripe. Thread the needle with the other end and secure. Oh, what? Totally overthinking that. I'm not doing any of that. So I already secured that end. Why did it want me to leave 3 to 4 inches to secure that end on there? Just gonna go in the side of it, grab that tail. Well, I mean, I guess if it's beginner friendly, they wouldn't want to bog someone down with then teaching you how to sew a chain onto something, right? Really, what's going to keep that stripe from like moving around? It doesn't say tightly? No, it does not. I'm not even doing it evenly at this point. All right, well then we're down here to this end. That's pretty secure to me. Yeah, that's pretty secure. Which end had... Oh, my little wire slipped down to the middle. Oh no, it's at that end. Okay. I always think that's fascinating on hiding my ends. How if I pull each one of those little loops down in a different direction, how it wouldn't be able to pull out just because it's all tucked and tied and twisted around, like different parts of polymer fill grab between those, and how eventually they'll just get matted in there into place. All right, gotta save the sewing needle, gotta save the crochet hook. Candy cane. I made a candy cane. Weave in all the ends. Cut a 12-inch length of C3 red. Weave through 2 stitches on the top of the candy cane to create a chain, to create a loop for hanging. You know, when I buy candy canes from the store, I always look for the ones that aren't like broken. I had to do it. All right, there's my candy cane. Okay, let's put the loop on there. What do I do with the red thread? Let me go look for the red. Okay. Officially completed candy cane ornament, loops and threads. Pattern is crochetable. I will snip off those gnarled ends when we get home. All right, that was a fun one. I'm gonna put that over here in my basket. And let's see, gingerbread. It says head, make 2. Body, make 2. So it is having you make them 2 at a time. Then it tells you how to make the girl body. Make the same as for boy, working round 10 in BLP. Over here is some abbreviation definitions. BLP, back loop only. That is one of the things that I was thinking about. All of these patterns are trying to reinvent abbreviations. There is a common stitch terminology that I thought was pretty universally used. BLO, back loop only. And then they've used BLP, which is a LP loop, back loop. Come on. Just a small little edit. You know, these crochet kits have to have testers. They have to have editors. They, you know, well, maybe not all of them, right? Some of them have been pretty strange. All right. I did not read, it did say up here, it says highly recommended to, the very first part of the instruction says, read all instructions before beginning project. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start this. Body is made in 1 piece. Oh, gingerbread head. Boy and girl head are the same. So it says make 2. So I'm going to be making... Should we make 1 and then the other, or am I just making 2? I'm making 2, right? I'm making all of these. So I'm going to go ahead and make 2 gingerbread heads at the end of row 11. It's only row 11 rows. It says fasten off, leaving a 10-inch tail for sewing. I don't think we need all that, but okay. I'm going to go ahead and make the 2 heads. I'll be right back. Let's see if it's mathable. It looks like the stitch counts are somewhat realistic. 6, 12, 18, 24, 24, 18, 12, 12. We'll see. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. And somehow I lost some footage between the making and the here. So let's just wooble around the Christmas tree, okay? I have the Loops and Threads kit that I found at Michael's. I don't remember how much it cost. I did use a coupon. It says our names are Glory, Claus, and Gabe. We have a candy cane, which is a very simple, basic make. I think that this is extremely beginner friendly, working in the rounds, and then very simple chaining, and then attaching. That was very beginner friendly. And then we have the 2 gingerbreads. So I guess gingerbread would be Glory and Gabe. Would the claws be the candy cane, C-A-U-S? I don't know. I'm reaching out on a limb here. So with the gingerbreads, there's mine. That's how mine came out looking. Very nice basic body shape. If you wanted to make little amigurumis to look like friends and family, or you needed just a little body shape for something, very simple, very cute. Little Gabe here has a straight body. When I made him, he got a little curves in the hips, and well, I followed the directions to the best of my ability. After making Glory and Gabe, I've decided that in the new year, I would really like to focus on my embroidery skills. I had a difficult time putting the icing on. My little French knots are not very French. So I need to work on my embroidery, especially because I really like making amigurumi, and the facial features are always a struggle for me. I'd like to work on symmetry, I'd like to work on details, and I think just a basic overall embroidery skills, learn some new stitches for details, that sort of thing. I notice whenever it comes to making like little highlights around the eyes, even if I use the plastic safety eyes, making the little highlights or the little cheeks or blush or just facial features, I'd really like to explore some embroidery a little bit more. But there we go. Loops and threads, kit, Christmas ornaments. I'd give it 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it. The plastic hook was delightful. It is a plastic hook, so it encouraged me to loosen up on my tension a bit and let the yarn fluff up. It's not excellent yarn in the kit. It is kit yarn, which has become a new slogan all on its own. We have Red Heart Super Saver quality, we have Crochet Kit quality, and then we go up to the premiums. And then of course there's that category of Caron Simply Soft, right? So in comparison, it's no comparison. It's a step up from Dollar Tree, but it's kit yarn. All right, friends. Thank you for visiting with me. I'm gonna smash all these clips together and I'll see you in a bit. Probably, let's see, Wednesday. I'll see you Friday.